This is Character Asked It. You already know Character did it, and I am here with a very interesting woman, Sheryll Huff. Tell us about yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Sheryll Huff. I'm the president of the Middle Tennessee National Action Network, which is a civil rights organization. And we do a lot of work and a lot of stuff here in Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about this organization.
So the organization, it was started with Reverend Al Sharpton, and he created it in 1991. And he followed the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King and the rights of people. No matter what your race is, he just worked with making sure that people's rights are being heard and done. So we created one here in Nashville in 2021. So we are almost 2 years strong. Wow. And started here. We have over 100 and something members, and we do a lot of workshops, and we do a lot of know your rights. And our thing is just informing the community about what their rights are and educating them on life every day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you been involved all 2 years?
Oh yeah, I founded the organization here in Nashville, and so I got it up and going. I started off with 7 of us, wow, which were my officers, and then I went out and I go around everywhere, and I talk with people, let them know what we're doing, what we're about, and then they'll join in with us. And like I said, we have now over 100 and something members, and we were named the chapter of the year from the national with Reverend Al Sharpton, and I also received a champion award from Reverend Al Sharpton, and we've been in office, in existence for less than 2 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was that process like starting it?
Starting the chapter, so I used to work with the NAACP, and I worked with them from 2002 all the way up until 2000. And then I took a year off, and I was like, I just want to further my ability as an organizer and just to do something else. And it was just to enhance what was already out here. And so I started the process. I had to go and get my 501c3. I had to go and do the Secretary of State. I had to get everything in place. And once I got all of the legal stuff in place, and then I start talking to people. And how I get people involved, I look at people that have retired but still want to do something. And so I look at the careers that they were in, and then I start involving them in what I was doing and telling them what would be good for them to, I have a lot of educators on my team. I have legal attorneys and prosecutors on my team. I have people that do the political action. I have a lot of people that does all of the stuff that's out here, but they retired from those positions. And so they come on board and work with us. We have youth advisors that we work with the youth. And because I'm an organizer, I knew what I was looking for and I knew what I wanted. And so I have them, and I have a excellent team that works with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you find people and find a way to use their assets that they already have to further your journey.
Yes.
Your goals.
And you never know, because people sit and wait for someone to ask them to be involved. And all I do is give them an ask, and they like, yes, I love to do it. And because this is the career that they've been doing 30 and 40 years, they can bring it. And so when we do workshops, we put them to do the workshops, and then they just inform the community on the things that how this work, and this is what you should look for. Like, I know a lot of judges, so there a lot of them are my friends, so I bring them on board, and I'm going to have a workshop where the judges will come in and tell them about their courtrooms, what it looked like, and then they can hear from the community or what their issues and what they want to see done and change and stuff like that. So that's what I do. I love doing that kind
That's
of stuff.
amazing, man. You're really making an impact. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
How did you get into being an organizer?
So there was a young man, which this Saturday coming up, we're going to be doing a farewell party for him at our second community event. He's leaving. He talked to me in 2001, and he was like, Sheryll, you know what? It's something in you, and I see it, and I want to bring it out of you. And he taught me how to be an organizer. He taught me the value of people's lives, and just listening to people, you can understand what's going on. And that was in 2001 when he was talking to me about it. And then I took my first trip to Washington, D.C., and we did a stakeout in front of the governor's house. And they were like marching and rallying and everything. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. And so I was like, I want to know more. What can I do? And so just listening to people's issues and listening to people's problems, I hear the stuff that they're not saying. And what they're not saying is what I fight for. Yeah. And they don't even know it's there. Sometimes people just need somebody to talk to, because most of the time when we leave out of this conversation, they forgot what they called me and wanted to talk about. But just sitting there talking to them is what they love to hear. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it makes a difference to them personally, which makes a difference all over.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
What were you doing before 2001?
So I've done a lot. But everything that I did, it was helping people. So I worked with so I started off when I graduated from high school, I worked in nursing. So I was a medical assistant. And then when I left that field, I was a cosmetologist. So I was working and doing people's hair. Then I left that field, I went into transportation. So I was driving a city bus, the school bus first, and then I started driving a city bus. Then I left from there and started driving the charter buses, going over all over everywhere, taking people to their destinations. And then I became a union worker and getting people into the union and talking to them and helping them with their cases, and started doing that. And I've been working with the NAACP since 2002, organizing and working in that. So everything that I've done in my whole career, it was working and helping people.
So that's what drives you.
That's what drives me. And you know how I get paid? It's when they come back and say, oh my God, I got my job back, or I got my benefits, or they found that they were wrong, and they did anything that come back and say it worked. That's how I get paid, just to see the excitement on people's face.
It's amazing.
Yes.
We need 10 million more of you.
Oh yeah, I know, because I can't do it by myself. but just the team that I have is amazing, and that I just talk to them and let them know how I need their help and what we need to do, and they write on it. So, I want to show you this. I'm going to show you this. This is what I did. Yesterday we had the Juneteenth Day, right? Yeah. And with the Juneteenth Day, this is what I did. You see all of this?
Whoa, what is all that?
These are applications that people came and signed up and joined in to become members of National Action Network. And that was just for 2 days. And yesterday I had to speak, and I got on stage and I spoke, and I just, I speak power to truth. Truth to power. And I got all of these people that signed up yesterday and Saturday.
That's incredible. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's needed out here.
Absolutely.
We need the workers. We need people to get on these committees and help us, and let's keep this going forward.
You told me about some of the achievements that you've accomplished. What about some others? I'm sure there have been other achievements other than just the Al Sharpton Awards. Not those aren't amazing, but
Oh yeah. Well, one thing that I've done, and I really think about this is a whole lot. A young man, he was from Michigan. He lived here in Nashville, and he worked in Michigan. He was just down here for a vacation or something. But while he was here, some people came after him and they started shooting, and he was running, and he was running, but he had his gun in his hand. He was running forward, and a security guard, he came outside of a club. He saw what happened. He planted his foot, aimed his gun, and shot this young man in the back of his head and killed him. When he did that, the security guard went to the district attorney, assistant district attorney, and she did whatever she had to do. And there was a video where the assistant district attorney did not look at the video. She just went on what he said, and she said, "We're not going to take this to the grand jury." That was the end of the case. Well, this young man's mother and grandmother, they kept calling. They kept coming to Nashville trying to get somebody to take her case. And she knew something was not right. No one would take her case. No attorney would take the case. That was it. She came to my office, and that's when I was working with the NAACP. She came to the office, and she sat in that office with me and talked to me for 4 hours. 4 hours. And I sat there and I listened to her. She cried. She talked about who her son was, and everything. I called an attorney that's here in Nashville, one of the baddest attorney in Nashville. I said, "I just need you to just listen to this lady and just look into this case." And she did that. She took that case and she just listened to it. She said, "Well, I can't promise anything, but I'll just look into it and see what's going on." This woman took this case. She got that video, and she looked at that video and saw everything that this security guard said was the absolute not. It was not the truth. It was not the truth. And so she took the case, and they just sued the state of Tennessee and that insurance company of that guy that worked for the security, and sued him for a very large amount, and she won. And the assistant district attorney was fired. And she had the young man to go and fill an application to get on the police force. And he got on the police force with all of this background. He on his Facebook page, he had all of this racial stuff on his Facebook page. On his Facebook page, he had on there telling them exactly how to kill someone. He actually said it. He said, "If you want to kill someone, this is how you do it. You plant your foot, you aim your head to exactly where you're trying to shoot, and you always hit in the head." All of this was on his Facebook page.
Wow.
But they hired him. And they hired him because they had no clue of who he was. But because he was a white man and he said, "This is what happened," they hired him. But he was let go on that, and he was indicted, and now they're waiting to be prosecuted and go through court.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
And because I listened to what this lady was saying, and I heard the stuff that she did not say. And that's how I got her, case done.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
How about some obstacles that you faced? And I'm sure there have been those.
Oh, yeah. She's a troublemaker. Don't listen to her. She just radical. She always talking about people's rights. And I hear a lot of that, but I let it go over my head, because if somebody don't stick up for someone, then everybody's going to fall. And so, yeah, I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I had a lot of doors closing in my face, but I had more open than I had closed because I listen to people, and I know what the issues are, and I find the people that I know that will take care of somebody's cases or issues or anything. Now, we work hard, but we party hard too.
Well, you got to
So we,
celebrate yourself. You got to celebrate these things y'all are doing.
oh yeah, well, I bring the community out, and let's celebrate and have a party together. So we do a lot of uh uh fundraisers and banquets and luncheons and all that kind of stuff.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. That's so cool.
Oh yeah.
What is success in life to you? What is success with your organization? What is your dream?
My dream is right now, this year, before the end of this year, I want to have 500 members. And my dream for this organization is to help as many people as we can, and to put Nashville, where we have put Nashville on the map now. So other states and other places, they're watching to see what Nashville is doing, and just to be successful in everything that we do, and help as many people with resources and everything that we can do. And that's the biggest goal that I have, is to help people, just to help. I'm a real big uh, uh, advocate on education, working for our children, making sure that we have equality in these schools. They DCS. We have a big issue with Department of Human Service in Nashville. And because of that, did you hear about the 5 kids that were taken away from their parents in in Tennessee?
I don't think so.
So there was a family, the mother, the father, and their 5 children. They were coming from Atlanta, and they were on their way to Illinois, and they was coming through Tennessee. And Lord, the father, he's a felon, but it was like 20 something years ago when he caught a case when he was like 17, 18 years old. He's 42 now. But and he has his own trucking company. He's doing excellent. Never been in no more trouble when he got out of jail and everything. But he never got his record expunged. And he was driving from Georgia. And driving from Georgia, when the police get behind you, state trooper, they've already ran your plates. So they already know who you are when they come to your car. So because they knew who he was and they had his tags, his name, and knew that he was a felon, that's how they treated him. So they said they pulled him over because the windows on his car was too dark, and he was driving in the left lane too slow. And because of that, we know that he was pulled over because it was driving while black.
Yep.
And he was out of state. And because he was out of state, they thought they had one. And so they pulled him over and told him, I smell marijuana. Because he's a felon, if they say I smell marijuana, that gives them the right to search their vehicle and all of that. Well, in Georgia, recreation marijuana is legal. And in Illinois, municipal marijuana is legal. So those are legal in those states that he was coming from and going to, but in Tennessee, it's not. But because of that, they pulled him over and they found a little blunt that was in his door that he wasn't smoking, and it wasn't smelling like marijuana in there because he wasn't smoking it, but it was in there. It was like 2 grams. And because it had that 2 grams of marijuana in there, he came and told him that I want to search your vehicle. And he said, so tell me where the drugs are. And if you don't tell me where the drugs are, I'm going to call DCS and have them to come and get your children. And so he was like, sir, you can search my car. I don't have any. He said, you think I'm playing with you? He called DCS.
Oh, my God.
And he said, I have these children. It's 5 of them. and I think I'm gonna need you to come and get these kids. And so when he did that, he searched the man's car, towed the car up, broke the seat, did all of that. Didn't find nothing in there. He called DCS back and was like, look, I'm not finna arrest anybody. I'm just gonna give him a citation and send him on his way. DCS said, no, sir. I'm here at your station and I want them kids. Bring me them kids. And when they said that, now he had to figure out how he gonna get them kids to DCS. So he said, well, I'm gonna arrest you. Get in. They threw him in a car, roughed him up. What you roughing him up for? He in handcuffs for 2 grams of marijuana. They arrested him. They told the mother, you can follow us to the police station and you can bond him out. She was like, okay, not thinking nothing. Get to the police station. They get to the police station. They tell her, I want you to do a piss drop right now. Right now. She said, I'm not finna piss in no jar in front of all of these people. I'm not, what you doing this to me for? They put the strip thing in the back of her car so she would, my goodness. Are you there?
Yeah, I don't have your video, but.
Okay, hold on. I don't know what just happened. Hold on. They keep opening and closing that door. I'm sorry. Hold on.
It's okay.
Okay, there we go. But she said, they put a strip thing in the back of the car so she wouldn't be able to leave. While she was when she went in there to pay for her husband to get out, they start taking all of the kids out of the car. So the baby was 3 months, which she was breastfeeding. The next one was 2, 3, 5, and 7. That's how old the children were. They were on their way to a family funeral. And when they did that, she told me she wasn't pissing in a jar. She said they started snatching her kids out the car, snatching the baby out of her arm, and put them in some white van and took off. She had no idea where her children went. She didn't know anything. It devastated her because she was in there screaming and hollering, which startled the kids. And now the kids screaming and scared and don't know what's going on. So they took the kids away. That was on February the 17th. And that Monday, they had to go to court. When they went to court, the judge said, I want you to give me a urine test. And when they did the urine test, the mothers came back completely clean. Nothing in the mother's urine. The dad had the marijuana in his urine, which he told them, yes, I smoke marijuana. They said, well, I need a hair follicle because the urine wasn't good enough. They wanted a hair follicle. So they called the guy in and did a hair follicle. When he did the hair follicle, it came back in 10 minutes. 10 minutes on a hair follicle. The hair follicle said they had cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, oxycodone, and something else. They had 5 different drugs in both of their systems. And that they would have been dead if they had all of that.
Yes, absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Okay. So this is what they did. So they said, okay, we taking the kids, putting them in foster care. That was it, because they had already took the kids. Now they put them in foster care. They put the kids in foster care. The mother called, went to the school. When she went back to Georgia, went to the school, tell the teacher what's going on. The teacher said, hold on, I got to get y'all some help. She called the National Action Network. She called to the New York chapter. The New York office called my chapter, called me. I called the mother back. She told me what was happening, what was going on. Found out that the young man is a family friend, the father. He's a family friend of mine. He's from Chicago. Wow. I'm from Chicago. Wow. Took this case. I got the attorney on board. Everything. We got them kids back to their parents in 56 days. That has never happened in the world of DCS. We got them kids back to their parents in 56 days. You know why? Because of all of that. Because of all of that.
I lost your video again.
Okay. Because of all of that lying, fraud.
They kidnapped them.
That's exactly what they did. And guess what happened? The young man that did the hair follicle, Because a hair follicle, it takes between 3 to 4 weeks to come back, period. He resigned from his job because of this case. He said, I told them that this is not admissible in court. You can't
Wow.
use this in court. Well, why are you using it? Why is the judge allowing this to happen? So now every case that this because this is the drug court people that they use to do all of their drug tests on. And so many people have lost their children, have been put in jail because of this phony hair follicle stuff that they're doing. And so this is what's happening out here. And if you don't pay attention, this stuff is going to continue happening. And because she called us, we got on board and we fought. Now, this attorney here, her name is Courtney Teasley. She's a bad sister. She's an attorney too. And she took on this case and she brought other attorneys on board. We went down to Manchester, Tennessee is where it happened at. It's called Coffee County. We went down there and you can look that up and you can read and see everything because we got 30 people to come down to Manchester. It's an hour away from Nashville, but we all got in our vehicles and everything, and we did court watch. And we went down there. We had every media that we can get. Everybody was there on that court day.
Wow.
That judge was so scared, he shut the whole court down. He wouldn't let us in the courtroom.
Wow.
We couldn't come in the courtroom. We couldn't do any of that. But we was in one of those little rooms in the back, and we stood back there. But we did. We had it. This was all over everywhere. But it's just a shame what they're doing. They let them kids. The judge said, I don't want no parts of this. Send them back to Georgia. Let Georgia deal with them. Georgia said, I'm not opening no case. We ain't doing this. That's
such a terrible truth. And it happens way too often, especially anywhere in the South. Anywhere in the South is so much worse for that kind of thing. I've lived in Florida, I live here, it's just
they just taking people's babies away.
So one thing I did want to talk to you about is another organization that I'm involved in. I do work with the Freedom Riders organization.
Oh, okay.
My old boss, he's a really great guy. His name's Pete Conroy. He's close friends with Charles Pearson. He was one of the original Freedom Riders. And they started this organization, and during the George Floyd protests, Charles Pearson called Pete and was like, Pete, do you see what's going on? We have to do something. And Pete is a guy who makes things happen. And a year and a half later, they built a training program with the head of New York State's, the guy who oversees all protests in New York State, the police officer that oversees all protests and things like that. They built a course to teach people how to peacefully and effectively protest. And anyone who was arrested during the George Floyd protests on a nonviolent offense was offered the chance to take this course, and upon completion, their records were wiped. Oh. It was the first time anything like that had been done in this country, and I haven't spoken to them in a while. The last time I was speaking to them, they were talking to some people in the national government who wanted to implement that on domestic abuse, drug crimes. It's the first thing I've ever seen happen that makes sense with our penal system, with our judicial system.
Right. Yeah.
I would love to get you connected with them. You're not far.
Yes, please do. And that makes a lot of sense, and that's what needs to happen. And people have these backgrounds and they have these records. I had a young man that called me and saying he's going to court and he don't know what's going to happen. I talked to his attorney. We worked on some stuff and his case was dismissed. But I told him, before you leave out of that courtroom, when that judge dismiss your case, make sure you tell him that you want your record expunged now. Because if they dismiss your case, they can expunge your record. And people don't realize that. And they walk around with all this dismissed, but all of this is on their record.
Yep.
So, yeah, I love to work with them on that. See what we can do here in Nashville to work with them.
Absolutely. They're work out of Anniston, Alabama. Pete Conroy is he works for Jacksonville State University.
Oh,
So, and then he also runs a national park here. But I'll definitely, after the interview, I'll get you connected to him, and I think you all could do some powerful stuff together for real.
yeah, that's really good. That'll be really good. I like that.
Is there anything else that I didn't think to ask you? I didn't know to ask you. Anything else you got coming up? Any projects you're working on? Any big cases? You know.
Yeah, well, we're working now with the it's called the Community Oversight Board that's here in Nashville that uh watches over what the police is doing here and the misconducts of police. And that's what we voted for that to happen 5 years ago. And it was like 135,000 people voted on this. And then now the Republicans, that none of them lives in Nashville, they live in the surrounding counties of Tennessee. They have come in and they dismantled the COB. They just took everybody's votes and just threw them away. So now we're having a meeting on Wednesday to talk with the director to see where she is. They trying to put an ordinance together and wants her to sign off on it and change. It's the community oversight. They want to change that to the community resident board, which makes no sense. And then all of this stuff that's on the inside of it on this ordinance has nothing to do. So now the police is going to be policing the police. So if we have any complaints or stuff, we just fill out the complaints and give them to the police. Well, that's not going to work. No. And so they took all of these people's votes and just threw them in the garbage. So we're about to do some stuff on that. And
about to make your noise.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really, really big. What we do. So we drafting lawsuits and all kinds of stuff as we speak on retaining our votes back and keeping this in place like we voted on. So yeah, that's something that we're doing, and just doing a lot of events and just bringing the community together.
Man.
Yeah.
You're such an inspiring person. There's several times when you've been talking about what you do and I get goosebumps, you know, because I can just feel how passionate you are about it.
Oh yeah, I love the people out here, and when people are being treated wrong, and if I can help and do something with it, that's what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really appreciate your time. This has been Character Asset here with a force of a woman, Sheryll Huff. Don't mess with her. She'll get it done, man. See you next time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.